Okay, so let's do a video on this cage. It's called a Havahart Cage. Havahart. 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 See if you can get a picture of that. I guess it's made in Lititz, PA, Pennsylvania. So they call it Havahart because it doesn't actually kill the animal. It doesn't hurt the animal. So I figured I'd show you how I use it. First thing you have to do is set it. It's kind of tricky to set. It's based on these little things here. Okay, and that little clip right here goes inside that hole. So what you do to set it is lift this up, okay, and then you got to bend this back, and then bring this up, and then slide that little clip up underneath the edge. Okay, see if you can get a close-up of that so they can see what it looks like. Okay, so that's one side. And then some of the Havahart cages only have an opening on one side. And then some of them have an opening on both sides. So this side is the same thing. Okay, so you just lift this up, push this back, and bring this up. Okay. What's tricky is, see how this arm here? This arm is connected to this arm here. Okay. So sometimes you just gotta fiddle with that until you get both of them to stay open. Okay, so the way the animal sets it off is they walk inside and then they step on that little panel there. Okay, so when they step on this panel, that closes both doors. Okay? So this side would be considered like the main side, because this is where like the main mechanism is. You can see all the wires are down here. This main rod comes down through here. And see how this side is, there's not a lot of wires here. There's no main rod that comes down here. So this would be like the main side. If I tried to set this side first, normally when you come over here and try to set this side, that side will close because you're moving the arm. See? So set the main arm first, the main side, and then come over here and set this one. This one will move just a little bit. See how this little piece of metal moves here? So that'll move some, so you can set that arm. Okay. So just so you can see how it works again, the animal steps on here, and then it closes the cage.
And you put the food in there.
So that's where you would put the food. Okay. Now what I usually do is put a little food on this side and a little food on this side. So you can go online, there's all different types of food that you can put in there for different animals. But what I found is just a little dry cat food seems to catch everything. So it makes it nice and easy. You never know what you're going to catch. So, you know, if you catch a skunk, then that might be a tough thing to get rid of. So I've been lucky. I've never gotten a skunk. but maybe just throw a big blanket or a tarp over it and then let it go so it doesn't squirt you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll show you how I set this up. First you do the main side. And then you do the second side. Okay. And then get a picture of that board. See, I put the cage on a board. See, like that. And then just get a long broomstick or some type of stick, something kind of sturdy, and shove that down into the ground. Okay. It's got to be strong enough that a raccoon can't tear it up. Then what I did was I added this handle to it. And this is just a thick piece of coat hanger. Okay, it can't be a thin piece of wire. It can't be a thin string, because if the raccoons get a hold of it, they'll just tear it up. Okay, and the reason why I added that is after you catch the animal, you need to lift it up and carry it, and you don't want to be close to it, right? So that handle really comes in handy. Then I just got a piece of wire here. It's just 12 gauge wire, and it's run down through here, and I got it hooked onto this hook here. Then I have this wire go under the handle here, so they can't get a hold. They can't get a hold of the handle when they're stuck in the cage. Then I wrap it around here. Okay. So then they can't get a hold of this wire when they're stuck inside the cage. Okay, and then I have this wire here so I can open it. And I've tried different ways to do it. This seems to work good. This is just like 12 gauge wire. You can buy a roll of it at the hardware store for 10 bucks. You can't use rope because the raccoons will just grab it and tear it. So this 12 gauge wire, I got it going down through the hole here, and then it goes under this bar, and then it comes out here, and I got it hooked onto here. And I'll show you how I use that to open it. So, and then I use the wire to hold up the handle, so they can't grab the handle when they're inside the cage. And then just wrap this around the pole, so it keeps the wire out of reach and it keeps the handle out of reach. So this here is a good example. You can see I had a wire here, and that's a 12 gauge wire, and they just tore it right up. Okay, so then just throw some cat food on top of that board. You have to put it on some type of board, because if you just lay it on the ground, they'll dig up the dirt, and you'll have an inch or two of dirt inside the cage, and it'll get crammed under the mechanism, the switch there, and it's just a pain to clean. So as long as you have a board under there, they can't get at the dirt. So it doesn't have to be that long. That's just the board I'm using for the example. Okay, so then, you know, they come in and they eat the food. It's nice to have both ends open, because then they think they can walk right through it. See if one end, see if you buy a cage that only opens on one end, it might be scary for them to walk into it. So I think it's best to buy a cage that opens on both ends, because then they think they can walk right through it. Sometimes if you have a smart one, what you can do is like line stuff up around it. You know, especially if you got wood or logs or something that looks like natural surroundings, then that will direct them right into the cage. See, if he's walking by here, he might come out this way, and he might not even go to the cage. But if you have stuff like surrounding it here, you know, that'll direct them inside the cage. So that really helps. So it's best to use like logs or twigs or something that looks like nature, so it doesn't scare them. You will catch cats. You know, my neighbor said he's been catching a lot of cats, and what you do is you just let them go. You know.
They're just going in there to eat the cat food.
Yeah. So after you catch an animal, it's like now what do you do with it, right? From what I read, it's a law. You've got to get rid of them within 24 hours. They don't want them sitting in the cage longer than that. And what I do is I take it and okay, so after you catch the animal, you got to be careful you don't get too close, because they might reach out and try and bite you. So that's the purpose of this thing. I always wear thick coat, thick glove, thick pants. You know, you don't even want to scratch. There was an article on my local news where a woman got scratched by a raccoon, and she got infected, and they ended up having to cut off her arm because they couldn't stop the infection. So it's not something to fool around with. Okay, so what I do is I use this handle and I keep it as far away from me as possible, and then I put it inside of a wheelbarrow. I've tried different types of things. I think this tool works the best. Let's see what's it called? It doesn't have a name. I guess it's just a rake, you know, with 4 tongs. Nice, heavy duty. I use this so when I lift it, I can keep the cage away from me, so there's no way that it's going to swing. See, if you just walk like this, it might swing close enough to where you might be able to get you. Usually they don't try to bite you. You know, they aren't trying to swing at you or nothing like that. But if you get a crazy one, you just never know. Sometimes these don't latch fully. So like if this doesn't drop down and catch this bar, see, this bar is what stops it. So I've noticed sometimes that I'll come out, the cage will be closed, but there won't be no animal. And I think what happens is they're like halfway in, or their tail might be sticking out the back. So then they can still slip out. So just make sure these things are latched, and then they shouldn't be able to get out. Okay, and then you can lift this up, use this to keep it away from you, and then put it in your wheelbarrow, and then bring it to where you're gonna drop the animal off. Bring it up to the truck, throw it in the back of the truck, bring it out in the woods. Sometimes I'll put a tarp over it so the animal can't swipe at me through the tarp. So then you bring it out to where you're gonna empty it. Put it down on the ground. And then this is the scary part, you know, because you're going to let a wild animal out of the cage. In all of my experience, they just run. I've never had one come back on me. You know, they're just glad to run out into the woods, you know. So what I usually do is, you know, here's my wire, right? I just stand on, I stand on the back here to hold it some, and I bang on this side, so then they'll go up to that end, and then I got a hold of my wire here, and this is why I like this guy here. I can reach down here with this, grab that, and then pull on this, and then they'll run out, you know. Once they see it's open a little bit, they'll just take off out into the woods. Sometimes, you know, if I have the wheelbarrow with me, I'll put the wheelbarrow down like this, and then I'll open it, so then they can't come back at me this way, and if they come back this way, I can smack them with the rake. But I've never had them come back. One more thing. I just made these things. I carry these in the truck. Because I don't have the wheelbarrow with me. So then I can put these down, and I don't have to worry about them running back at me. I suppose if they wanted to, they could jump over, but you know, they've never done that. Okay, so they always just take off, and then just bring it back home. Rinse it off with the hose. There's usually poop in it, you know, so bring it to an area that you don't mind rinsing. Raccoon poop, possum poop, or even big rats. I wouldn't recommend using soap. You don't want it too clean. You still want it to smell like nature. For raccoons, if you catch 2 raccoons in a row, drop them off in the same area, because they're usually like a husband and wife type thing. So it's nice to drop them off in the same area. You know, you just don't want them in your yard. Just bring them someplace else. Okay. Let me show you a close-up of this wire here, because this is probably the main gist of the video. You know, after you catch an animal, the scariest part is letting them go. You know, if you don't have that wire, then you have to reach down here and open this thing, right? You know, and then the animal is running right by it. So I think this wire should come with the cage, you know. So you can see I've got this wire tied on here, and I've just got some black tape on it here. You know, it's probably wound up underneath the tape, and then I got it going through here, and then it goes right up the middle here and out here. See, if that was off to the side here, they might be able to get it. That's why they were able to get this wire. And I think I've had a few other things on it too. I think I've had string on it and a few other things I've tried. But this wire, as long as you keep it out of the way, that seems to work good. I've never had that lever damaged, But I could see if you got a real big raccoon, they might be able to tear it up. If you're trying to get a small animal, they have smaller cages, but what you can do is set your cage the way you normally would. And then see if you can get a close-up of that little prong there. What you can do is lift this up and then bring this guy back a little bit. So it's just barely sitting on that piece of metal there, that little strip there in the middle. So that makes it a more delicate touch. You know, if they just barely touch that step, it'll set it off. You know.
You had some small get through there once and didn't set it off.
Yeah, usually it might take a week just to get one animal. You know, they'll come in, eat the food, and leave. You know, so you just have to be patient. You know, it might take 3-4 days or more to get to. You know, if you got one animal that keeps picking on your yard, so just kind of throw it in the back of the yard where the kids and the dogs and the cats can't get to it.
And check it every day.
Yeah, check it every day. Yeah.
In case you got the neighbor's cat.
Yeah. We've gotten our own cats in them. But that's good because then they learn what it is and they learn to stay away from it.
Yeah, they don't bother it no more.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that pretty much will cover it.
And good luck if you catch a skunk.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. When we first got it, we used to call the dog catcher, and they would come down and get them. And he told me that he stuck them with like a long needle, you know, a needle on a pole. And he told me that was just putting them to sleep, and then he'd take them off into the woods. But I read up on it a little bit, and I think that was killing them. But I'm not sure. I think one time he might have taken out a .22 rifle and just shot them. And that's when I just started getting rid of them myself.
I thought that was illegal.
Yeah. I think I remember him doing that once. But that's why I just started getting rid of them myself, because I didn't want them killed.
Just want to relocate them.
Yeah. I usually feed them good, give them plenty of water before I let them go, so then they aren't going to be mad. You know? This way they know I'm not out to hurt them. I just want them to go away. Okay, see ya. Bye.